A few years back, I met someone that changed my life. I saw him on a podcast, and when I heard his story, I knew we were eternal friends. He's covered in tattoos, spent 20 years in prison. And I reached out to him and asked him if he would come and speak to the youth in the detention center that I go to regularly. The first time Manny came and spoke to the youth, something magical happened. Like his story, the way he connected to them. He actually grew up in that detention center. And I asked him if he would mentor my daughter, and he ended up mentoring my daughter and my nephew and providing coaching for my family. Amazing guy, one of my dearest friends and business partner now. Manny's story starts like this. His mother was 12 years old when she got pregnant. She was 13 when Manny was born. She was drug addicted. Manny never met his father. Manny's mom was in and out of toxic relationships, never had a home. Her life was difficult. Manny's stepfather was abusive to her and the kids were taken out of the home when Manny was 7 and put in foster care. Manny was in abusive foster homes, some of them. There were failed adoptions. And by the time he was 12 years old, he started running from those homes and was on the streets alone. He reached out to an uncle who had drugs, and he started dealing meth just to have a place to live. He would deal to people that would let him stay in their home. Sometimes he spent the night outside alone in a park. Probably sometimes ate out of a trash can. His life was really difficult, much different than mine. I can't even imagine. When Manny was 17 years old, he was involved in a drug deal with a friend that went wrong, and they shot their way out of the home. Nobody was killed, but Manny was certified as an adult and sent to prison. Now, prison can be a pretty rough place, especially for a kid from the streets who had no support, and he got involved in a gang. And then he spent 20 years in and out of prison until his daughter Serenity was born. When his daughter was born, Manny went to the gang and said, "Enough is enough. I want to be a family man. I'm done with this." And they said, "Get with the program. We don't care about your family." And Manny punched the guy closest to him, and he forced the gang to jump him out on the main yard in the prison. And they stomped him. They beat him pretty bad, pretty much unconscious, and the other gang members had to pull him off of him. And then he had to climb his way back into the unit for count. And when the officers came by, of course, he denied that there was any problem. He said he fell, but they knew there had been a problem, so they moved him to a different unit. Manny said, "You'd think my life got better, but it didn't. The gang was a crutch. My drug addiction, all the other unhealthy coping skills, I still had them." So Manny got out again and again, and each time he used drugs and got in toxic relationships. And then he met the woman that he's married to now, Misty, and she's amazing. Every bit as kind as good as Manny, and she's been through so many difficult things herself. And the first time I saw her picture, I just went, "That's a kind, good woman." The last time Manny went to prison, he was driving on the wrong side of the road, looking for drugs. He flipped around in traffic to go to a liquor store and hit someone. Jumped out of the car and tried to steal another car, passed out, ended up in the hospital, passed out, and ended up being driven back to prison for the 11th time. And that's when Manny came to himself. When he said, "Enough is enough. I can't blame anyone else anymore. I am the cause of all my problems." And when he went back to prison, he started working, and he worked hard. He did every program that they would let him do without any control of the outcome. He was facing 10, 20, who knows, the rest of his life in prison. He went to a treatment program. They put him back in a unit where he was with some of the gang members and just about got taken out there, but he just kept working on it. And when he went before the judge, he presented himself as a changed man. He said, "If you give me time, all you'll get out of me is time. I've done time my whole life. Please give me a chance to go to a treatment center." And the judge looked at him and he said, "Mr. Lopez, all you've done is time, and time hasn't served you very well. I'm going to send you to this drug treatment program. But if you come before me for anything, you will do every day of your sentence." And just like that, someone Manny didn't expect to ever believe in him did. Somebody in the justice system that raised him, gave him a chance. And he went to the treatment center and he worked an honest program. And it wasn't easy. There were people from the streets that he knew, but he held himself and he held them accountable. And he reached out to his wife, who also went to drug treatment and was working on herself. And she started setting boundaries. She said, yeah, I won't have someone in my life that's using, and I won't be treated poorly. And the two of them worked on themselves. And then they were married. And they got custody of Manny's daughter. And it was a dogfight. It didn't come easy for them. Manny and Misty moved into an apartment, got a job. They started out, with nothing, and they worked their way up and got an apartment. And the background check came back, and they told him they had to leave the apartment. Manny said that he and his wife said a prayer and said, God, you've brought us too far to just let us fail here. Please, we don't want to go back to the places we've been. And they started driving, and there was a sign in a home, and they reached out to the owner and told him their story, and the owner let him move in, and now they live in a beautiful home with their family, and their community loves them. They go to church in their community, and their community is so supportive. During all this, Manny was mentoring my daughter, my nephew, helping my mom through some really hard experiences. Manny and I both work in drug treatment, and we're both recovery coaches. Manny's in college. He'll be a therapist soon. And we have a company that we're partners in. And Manny's changing people's lives. He's changed mine. We joke. I'm Martha Stewart. He's Snoop. I'll put some pictures at the end of the video. But you can't give up on people. I had a friend recently ask me, how many times is enough? When do we say someone can't change? I said, never. Because if I had the life Manny had, I would have been where Manny was. I'd have been lucky to be where Manny was. Most people would have given up. We never give up on people because we don't know if it won't be the 11th time that they go back to prison, that they come to themselves.